One desperate text, one wrong number, one dangerous man who refused to delete it. Baby, I need you. I'm ovulating. Makenna Jones hit send with trembling hands, praying it would bring her husband back. It didn't reach him. It reached Kim, 30, Seoul's most feared Mafia boss, a man whose name is whispered in shadows. Instead of deleting it, he traced her, found her husband cheating, indebted, tied to his deadliest enemy. He should have walked away. He replied. He watched. He decided she was worth protecting. One wrong text became an unstoppable obsession, one that would topple empires, destroy marriages, and forge a love neither could escape. Makenna Carter had been fighting for her marriage for longer than she cared to admit. Kelly had grown distant, cold nights, empty excuses, a husband who felt like a stranger. Still, she wanted the future they'd promised each other. That night, alone in their Seoul apartment, she typed the most vulnerable words she'd ever written. But desperation makes you careless. She sent it to the wrong number. Across the city, in a penthouse office high above Seoul's glowing streets, Kim sat in silence, suit immaculate, expression carved from stone. He ruled an empire built on fear and precision. No one reached him by accident. No one dared need him. Until her message lit up his screen. A woman begging for closeness, for touch, for the child her husband wouldn't give her. Something stirred in the man who had forgotten what it felt like to want anything beyond power. He investigated. Found her name, Makenna Jones. Found her husband, Kelly, weak, unfaithful, and tangled up with Damien, the rival who'd been circling Kim's territory for months. He should have weaponized the information. Instead, he watched her from the shadows, saw the way her smile faded when Kelly ignored her calls, saw the loneliness she wore like a second skin. And Kim made a decision that would shatter both their worlds. He would answer the need her husband ignored. He would protect her from the betrayal she couldn't see yet. He would make her his. One wrong text. One dangerous man who chose obsession over indifference. This is the story of how a message meant for a cold husband became the spark that ignited an unstoppable force, a love fierce enough to survive deceit, enemies, and the brutal underworld of Seoul. If you're already hooked, keep reading. This is only the beginning. Makenna stared at her phone like it had just betrayed her. Unknown number. Your husband doesn't answer texts like that. Her heart slammed against her ribs. She checked the number again, checked her, sent messages, checked everything twice because maybe she'd imagined it. She hadn't. She'd sent the most intimate, humiliating message of her life to a complete stranger. Her fingers flew across the screen. Makenna, I'm sorry. Wrong number. Please delete that. 3 dots appeared immediately, then disappeared, then reappeared. Unknown number. You made it my business the moment you said you were ovulating. Makenna's stomach dropped. Her hands went cold. This wasn't happening. This couldn't be happening. Makenna, please, I'm begging you. Just forget it. The reply came faster this time. Unknown number. What's your name? She blocked the number so fast her thumb nearly cramped. Then she sat there, phone clutched to her chest, breathing too hard, staring at the empty apartment Kelly hadn't come home to in 3 days. Across Seoul, Kim set his phone down on the glass desk and leaned back in his chair. The city stretched out below him through floor-to-ceiling windows, neon rivers cutting through the dark, a kingdom he controlled from the shadows. His penthouse office was silent except for the faint hum of traffic 30 floors down. He should have deleted the message. He hadn't. Park. The door opened within seconds. Park entered, tablet in hand, expression neutral. He'd worked for Kim long enough to know when his boss's tone carried weight. Trace this number. Kim slid his phone across the desk. I want a name, address, employment, connections, everything. Park glanced at the screen, then back at Kim. How deep? All the way. Park nodded once and left. Kim turned back to the window, fingers steepled beneath his chin. The message still glowed in his mind, burned into his memory like a brand. Baby, I need you. I'm ovulating. Desperation, vulnerability, a woman trying to save something already dead. He'd seen that look before on faces in his world, people clinging to hope while the ground crumbled beneath them. It never ended well. But this woman didn't know she was falling yet. And for reasons Kim didn't care to examine, he wanted to know why. Makenna didn't sleep. She lay in bed, staring at the ceiling, replaying the humiliation on an endless loop. Kelly's side of the bed was cold, untouched. Again. She grabbed her phone and unblocked the number. No new messages. Relief and disappointment tangled in her chest. She blocked it again, then unblocked it. What is wrong with you? She threw the phone across the room and pressed her palms against her eyes until she saw stars. Tomorrow, she'd forget this ever happened. Tomorrow, Kelly would come home and they'd talk, really talk, and she'd find a way to fix this. She always did. She had to. Park returned at 2:47 a.m. Kim hadn't moved from his desk. He didn't need sleep the way other men did. Sleep was a luxury. Control was a discipline. Makenna Jones. Park set the tablet down, screen facing Kim. 25. Black American. Been in Seoul for 2 years. Works as a marketing coordinator for a mid-tier firm in Gangnam. Married. Kim's eyes scanned the photo on the screen. A woman with box braids and warm brown skin, smiling at the camera like she still believed the world was kind. She was beautiful. That wasn't relevant. The husband? Kim asked. Park swiped to the next screen. Kelly Jones, 27, American. Works in finance, mostly consulting, some freelance data analysis. He paused. He's connected. Kim's gaze sharpened. To who? Damien. The name hung in the air like smoke. Kim didn't move, but something shifted in his expression, something cold and calculating that Park had seen before, right before entire operations disappeared overnight. How connected? Information trading. Kelly's been feeding Damien financial intel, client portfolios, investment strategies, movement patterns of certain accounts. Park pulled up a series of messages, transaction records, meeting logs. Low-level work. Damien's using him as a digger, not a player. Does she know? No indication she does. Kim studied the screen. Kelly Jones. Weak chin. Expensive watch. The kind of man who thought he was smarter than everyone else, because he'd gotten away with small betrayals. Damien's network was a carefully built web of opportunists and cowards. Kelly fit perfectly. And Makenna, desperate, loyal Makenna, was married to him. Keep watching, Kim said quietly. I want to know everywhere Kelly goes, everyone he talks to, every transaction, every meeting, every lie he tells his wife. Park hesitated. Are we moving on, Damien? Not yet. Then what are we doing? Kim's gaze drifted back to Makenna's photo. She was smiling in the picture, but he could see it now, the exhaustion around her eyes, the tightness in her shoulders. The look of someone holding on too hard to something that had already let go. We're watching, Kim said. Just watching. Park knew better than to ask why. He left without another word. Kim sat alone in the dark, the glow of the tablet painting his face in cold blue light. One wrong text. One woman tied to his enemy. One husband who didn't deserve her. He wouldn't enter her building, wouldn't approach her directly, wouldn't cross the line between protection and invasion. He would simply make sure that when her world finally shattered, and it would, she wouldn't fall alone. He should have walked away, used the information, destroyed Kelly quietly, and moved on. But Kim hadn't built an empire by ignoring opportunity. And Makenna Jones, whether she knew it or not, had just become the most interesting opportunity he'd had in years. He wouldn't touch her. Not yet. But he would watch. And when the moment came when her world finally shattered the way he knew it would, he'd be there. Waiting. The coffee shop was 3 blocks from Makenna's office. She'd been coming here for months, same corner table, same oat milk latte, same hour when the lunch crowd thinned and she could breathe without pretending everything was fine. Today, she wasn't alone. This seat taken? Makenna looked up from her phone, another unanswered text to Kelly, and found a man standing beside her table. Tall, sharp suit, dark hair, styled with precision. Eyes that seemed to see straight through her. There are other tables, she said, glancing around the half-empty cafe. There are. He didn't move. But this one has the best light. It was such a strange thing to say that Makenna almost smiled. Almost. Fine. He sat across from her, setting down an espresso he'd already ordered. No laptop, no phone. Just him and the small cup, watching her with an intensity that should have felt invasive but somehow didn't. You look tired, he said. Makenna blinked. Excuse me? Like you haven't slept in days. Wow. And they say chivalry is dead. His mouth quirked, not quite a smile, but close. I'm not trying to be charming. I'm being honest. Well, your honesty needs work. She grabbed her bag, ready to leave this strange interaction behind. Makenna. She froze. Her name. He'd said her name. She turned slowly, heart hammering. How do you know? Your office badge, he said smoothly, nodding toward the lanyard peeking out of her purse. It's showing. She looked down. He was right. The badge was visible, her name printed clearly beneath her photo. Right. She exhaled, feeling foolish. Sorry. It's been a weird week. I can tell. Can you stop doing that? Doing what? Looking at me like you can see things I'm not saying. This time, he did smile. Small. Controlled. Maybe you're saying more than you think. Before she could respond, her phone buzzed. Kelly's name lit up the screen. Kelly. Working late again. Don't wait up. The same message. Different day. Makenna set the phone down without replying. When she looked up, the stranger was watching her with something that looked dangerously close to understanding. Husband? He asked quietly. She should have told him it was none of his business. Should have left. Should have done anything except whisper, yeah. He nodded once, like that single word explained everything. I'm Kim, he said. Makenna. Then she caught herself. But you already knew that. Now I do. He stood, leaving his espresso untouched. Take care of yourself, Makenna. He left before she could ask what he meant. Girl, you're doing that thing again. Makenna looked up from her desk to find Cynthia leaning against the cubicle divider, arms crossed, expression heavy with concern. What thing? That thing where you smile like everything's fine but your eyes look like you've been crying in bathroom stalls. I haven't... Makenna. Cynthia's voice softened. I've known you for 2 years. I know when you're breaking. Makenna's throat tightened. She looked back at her computer screen, pretending to focus on an email that had been sitting unread for an hour. Kelly's just busy, she said. Kelly's been busy for 6 months. Cynthia pulled up a chair, lowering her voice. And you've been making excuses for him that whole time. I'm not making excuses. Then what's going on? Makenna didn't have an answer that didn't sound pathetic. There's this guy, Cynthia said carefully. I've seen him, twice now, outside the building when you leave. Yesterday at the coffee shop across the street when you were there. Makenna's pulse quickened. What guy? Tall, expensive suit. Looks like he could buy this entire building without checking his account balance. Cynthia's eyes narrowed. You know him? Kim's face flashed in her mind, the way he'd looked at her, the way he'd said her name. We talked once. At the cafe. It was nothing. Makenna, men like that don't show up twice by accident. You're being paranoid. And you're being naive. Cynthia stood, her voice dropping to something almost urgent. I don't know what's going on with you and Kelly, but whatever you're thinking about doing, whoever that man is, just be careful. Please. Angela didn't do careful. He's cheating on you. Makenna nearly dropped her wine glass. They were at Angela's apartment, supposedly for a girls' night that had quickly turned into an intervention. You don't know that, Makenna said. Baby, yes I do. And so do you. Angela topped off both their glasses with the kind of aggressive generosity that meant the conversation wasn't over. Working late every night? Not answering texts? Coming home smelling like perfume that isn't yours? He doesn't. Last week, Thursday, I saw him. The room went still. Saw him where? Makenna's voice came out smaller than she wanted. Itaewon, that bougie wine bar near the hotel district. Angela's jaw tightened. He was with someone. A woman. Korean. They looked comfortable. The words hit like a physical blow. Maybe it was a work thing. Makenna. He had his hand on her lower back. Angela. Stop. Angela grabbed her hands, forcing eye contact. Stop defending him. Stop making yourself smaller so his betrayal feels more bearable. You deserve better than this. Makenna pulled away, standing abruptly. You don't understand. Then help me understand why you're still fighting for a man who stopped fighting for you months ago. The truth sat heavy in the space between them. Because starting over was terrifying. Because admitting failure felt like drowning. Because loneliness was easier when you could pretend someone was supposed to come home. I need to go, Makenna whispered. Angela didn't stop her. Park knocked once before entering Kim's office. Kelly Jones met with Damien's financial courier tonight, he said without preamble, handed over encrypted files. 3 accounts. One's ours. Kim's expression didn't change. And after, Park pulled up security footage on his tablet. Hotel, room 907. He wasn't alone. The video showed Kelly entering with a woman. Young. Laughing. Not his wife. How long? Kim asked. The affair? 4 months. The information leaks? 6. Kim watched the footage loop. Kelly's hand on the woman's waist. The easy intimacy of betrayal. Does Makenna know? About the cheating? Maybe suspects. About Damien? Park shook his head. No way. Kim stood, moving to the window. Seoul glittered below, oblivious to the small destructions happening in its shadows. Keep the surveillance tight, he said quietly. I want to know the moment she finds out. And then? Kim's reflection stared back at him in the glass, cold, calculating, patient. Then we'll see if she's ready to stop pretending. Subscribe to see what happens when Kim makes his move. Comment where you're reading from. The screenshot came from Angela. No warning, no preamble. Just an image that loaded slowly on Makenna's phone screen while she sat in the office bathroom, trying to remember how to breathe. Angela. I'm so sorry. I saw them last night. You need to see this. Below it, Kelly, in a hotel lobby, his hand on a woman's face, her lips on his. The timestamp read 3 days ago, Thursday night. When he'd texted working late, Makenna stared at the photo until her vision blurred. She wanted to convince herself it was fake, photoshopped, a cruel joke from someone who hated her. But she recognized his watch, the shirt she'd ironed for him that morning. The way he smiled at this woman the same way he used to smile at Makenna, back when she still believed in them. Her phone buzzed again. Angela, I didn't want to send it, but you deserve to know the truth. Call me when you're ready. Then another message. Different number. Unknown number. You deserve better than him. Makenna's hands went cold. She knew that number. She'd blocked it. Unblocked it. Stared at it for hours in the dark. Makenna, who is this? Unknown number. Someone who's been watching you carry weight that isn't yours. Makenna, how long have you known? Unknown number. Long enough to know you've been fighting alone. She left work early, told her supervisor she was sick. It wasn't a lie, her entire body felt poisoned by the truth she'd been avoiding for months. Kelly was home when she arrived. Actually home. Sitting on the couch with his laptop like this was normal, like he hadn't just shattered everything. You're back early, he said without looking up. Makenna stood in the doorway, phone clutched in her hand. We need to talk. Can it wait? I'm in the middle of... No. Something in her voice made him finally look at her. His expression shifted annoyance, giving way to carefully constructed concern. What's wrong? She held up her phone, showing him the screenshot. The blood drained from his face. Makenna, how long? It's not what it looks like. How long? Kelly stood, hands raised like she was the threat. You're overreacting. She's a colleague. We were just... Don't. Her voice cracked. Don't you dare insult me by lying right now. I'm not lying. Then explain the hotel room. Explain why you've been coming home late every night smelling like someone else. Explain why my husband looks at another woman the way he used to look at me. Kelly's jaw tightened. The concern vanished, replaced by something cold and defensive. Maybe if you weren't so needy all the time, I wouldn't need to find comfort somewhere else. The words hit like a slap. Needy? Makenna's laugh came out sharp and bitter. I asked you to care, to be present, to remember we're married. You asked me to give you a baby like that would fix us. I asked you to try. I am trying. Kelly's voice exploded through the apartment. I'm trying to keep us afloat while you sit around waiting for some fantasy life that was never going to happen. Silence crashed between them. Makenna stared at this man she'd loved, this stranger she'd married, and felt something inside her finally break clean through. Get out, she whispered. What? Get out, her voice grew stronger. Pack your things and leave, tonight. You can't kick me out of my own apartment. Your name's not on the lease. Mine is. She walked to the door and opened it. Get out, or I'm calling the police. Kelly's face twisted with rage. For a moment, Makenna thought he might actually hurt her. Then he grabbed his laptop and phone, shoving past her hard enough to make her stumble. You'll regret this, he snarled. Good luck surviving in this city without me. He slammed the door so hard the walls shook. Makenna locked it, slid down to the floor, and finally let herself shatter. Her phone rang at 1 p.m. Makenna was still on the floor, surrounded by tissues and the ruins of her marriage. She didn't recognize the number, but she answered anyway. Hello? Makenna. That voice, smooth, controlled. The stranger from the cafe. Are you safe? How did you... She stopped. It didn't matter. Nothing mattered. Why do you care? Because your husband just left your building in a rage, and I know men like him come back when they're angry. A chill ran through her. Are you watching me? I'm making sure you're protected. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have right now. A pause. Do you have somewhere else to stay tonight? She thought of Angela's apartment, Cynthia's spare room, her pride crumbling into dust. I'm fine here. Makenna, I don't even know you. Her voice broke. Angela sent me the photo of Kelly cheating. You're calling to check on me. You show up at my coffee shop. Who are you? Someone who sees you. The simplicity of it knocked the air from her lungs. Why? She whispered. Because no one else does. Tears spilled hot down her cheeks. She should hang up. Should block this number like she'd blocked the first one. Should protect herself from whatever dangerous thing this was becoming. I don't need saving, she said. I know. His voice softened in a way that felt like a caress. But you need to be safe. And right now, you're not. What do you want from me? Nothing. He meant it. She could hear the truth in his voice. I'm not asking you to trust me. I'm not asking you for anything. I'm just telling you, if Kelly comes back, if anyone threatens you, if you need help, you have it. No strings, no pressure, just safety. Why would you do that? Silence stretched between them, heavy with things unsaid. Because you sent a message to the wrong number, Kim finally said, and I can't stop thinking about the woman who was desperate enough to send it. Makenna closed her eyes. Logic screamed at her to hang up. Self-preservation demanded she run from this stranger who knew too much, who appeared too conveniently, who offered safety like it wasn't the most dangerous gift of all. But logic had kept her in a dead marriage. Self-preservation had taught her to accept neglect as love. Maybe it was time to choose differently. What's your name? She asked. Your real name. Kim. Kim what? Just Kim. For now. She should have demanded more. Should have needed answers before stepping off this cliff. Instead, she whispered, Okay. Okay? Okay, Kim. She took a shaky breath. I'll call if I need help. Promise me. I promise. She could hear his exhale, like he'd been holding his breath. Get some sleep, Makenna. Tomorrow will be better. He hung up before she could ask how he could possibly know that. Makenna sat in the wreckage of her marriage, phone pressed to her chest, and realized she'd just made a choice. Heart first. Logic last. Exactly the way you fall into dark water. Exactly the way you stop pretending you can swim. The man who approached Makenna outside her office building wore a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Makenna Jones? She stopped on the sidewalk, instinctively clutching her bag tighter. Seoul's evening crowd flowed around them like water around stones. Do I know you? Not yet. He extended a hand. Damien Choi. I'm a business associate of your husband's. Ex-husband, she wanted to say. But the divorce papers were still being drafted, and something about this man made her careful with her words. She didn't shake his hand. Damien's smile widened, unbothered. I apologize for the ambush. Kelly mentioned you worked here. I was hoping we could talk. About what? Your husband owes me money. Quite a lot of it, actually. He tilted his head, studying her like she was a puzzle he'd already solved. I thought perhaps you could help me locate him. He's been difficult to reach. We're separated. I don't know where he is. Separated. Damien repeated the word like it tasted interesting. How unfortunate. And so recent, if I'm not mistaken. Last week? Makenna's blood ran cold. How do you know that? I make it my business to know things. He stepped closer. Not threatening, not quite, but close enough that she could smell his expensive cologne. Especially when people who owe me money suddenly become hard to find. You understand? I don't have anything to do with Kelly's debts. Perhaps not, but you're easier to find than he is. His smile never wavered. Consider this a courtesy call. I'm sure Kelly will surface eventually. Men like him always do when the people they care about are uncomfortable. The threat hung in the air between them, wrapped in polite words. I can't help you, Makenna said firmly. Now, if you'll excuse me. Of course. Damien stepped aside, gesturing for her to pass. But Makenna? If you happen to hear from him, tell him I'm looking forward to our next conversation. And tell him running only makes things more expensive. She walked away without responding, feeling his eyes on her back until she turned the corner. Her hands were shaking when she pulled out her phone. She had one number memorized now, one she'd called twice in the past week when Kelly showed up drunk at her door, when strange cars parked outside her building. Kim answered on the first ring. What happened? There was a man, outside my office. He said his name was Damien. Silence. Then very quietly. What did he say to you? That Kelly owes him money. That I'm easier to find than Kelly is. Kim, he knows where I work. He knew about the separation. Are you still there? Outside your office? I'm walking to the subway. Don't. His voice sharpened with command. Stay where you are. A car is coming. Kim, I can't just... Makenna. He cut through her protest. Damien doesn't make social calls. If he approached you, it's because he wants me to know he can reach you. You're not safe on the street right now. Why would he care about... She stopped. This is about you, isn't it? Kelly's debt isn't really about Kelly. Kim didn't answer, which was answer enough. Oh my God. Makenna's voice dropped to a whisper. What did I walk into? A black sedan. 2 minutes. Get in when it arrives. The line went dead. Makenna stood on the corner, heart pounding, watching the evening crowd. Any one of these people could be watching her, reporting to Damien, waiting for her to be alone. A sleek black sedan pulled up exactly 2 minutes later. The driver's window rolled down, revealing a man with sharp features and sharper eyes. Miss Jones, I'm Yoon. Please get in. She hesitated for only a moment before sliding into the back seat. By the next morning, Makenna's life had begun to unravel in ways she couldn't predict. Her boss called her into his office at 9 a.m. Makenna, I need to talk to you about some concerns that have been raised. She sat down, confused. Concerns? About your work performance, your reliability. He wouldn't meet her eyes. There have been reports. Reports from who? I can't disclose that, but there are allegations of missed deadlines, unprofessional conduct with clients, possible data breaches. That's not true. None of that is true. Panic crept into her voice. I've never missed a deadline. Who said this? I'm not at liberty to say. But these are serious accusations, Makenna. I'm going to have to put you on temporary leave while we investigate. Temporary leave? You're suspending me based on anonymous accusations? It's company policy. I'm sorry. But he didn't look sorry. He looked uncomfortable, like someone had forced his hand. Makenna left the building in a daze, her security badge confiscated, her access revoked. 3 years of solid work erased in a 10-minute conversation. She knew, with bone-deep certainty, who was behind it. He's isolating you. Kim's office was nothing like she'd imagined. Floor-to-ceiling, windows overlooking Seoul, minimalist furniture, the kind of space that cost more per month than she made in a year. Yoon had brought her here directly from her office building. She hadn't argued. Damien wants you vulnerable, Kim continued, standing by the window. No job means no routine, no witnesses, no support structure. It makes you easier to control. Control for what? Makenna's voice rose. I don't have anything he wants. You have me. The words landed heavy in the space between them. Kim turned to face her, and for the first time, she saw something raw in his expression, something that looked dangerously close to guilt. Kelly's debt is leverage, he said quietly. You are the pressure point. Damien knows I've been watching you. He's making it clear he can hurt you to hurt me. So this is my life now? Collateral damage in whatever war you two are fighting? No. Kim crossed the room, stopping just close enough that she had to look up to meet his eyes. This is me telling you that I won't let him touch you. But I need you to let me protect you properly. Properly how? Yoon will be with you. Always. No arguments. As if summoned, Yoon appeared in the doorway. The apartment is secure. I've assigned 2 additional men to rotating surveillance. I don't need 3 bodyguards, Makenna protested. You do now. Kim's tone left no room for negotiation. Damien doesn't bluff. If he approached you once, he'll do it again. Next time won't be a conversation. The trap came 3 days later. Makenna was at the grocery store, Yoon a discreet presence 3 aisles away when her phone rang. Angela's name flashed on the screen. Makenna, thank God. I need your help. Angela, what's wrong? I'm at the hospital. Street Mary's in Gangnam. I had an accident, and they won't let me leave without someone to sign. Can you come? Please? Makenna's heart jumped. Are you okay? What happened? I'll explain when you get here. Just please hurry. Room 304. The line went dead. Makenna grabbed Yoon immediately. My friend's in the hospital. We need to go. Something flickered across Yoon's face. Which hospital? Street Mary's. Gangnam. Call her back. What? She's hurt. Call her back. Makenna dialed, confused. The phone rang, and rang, and rang. Voicemail. Try texting, Yoon said, already pulling out his own phone. Makenna, Angela, I'm coming. Which room again? No response. Yoon spoke quietly into his phone, words in rapid Korean she couldn't follow. His expression darkened with each passing second. What? Makenna demanded. What is it? Yoon lowered his phone. Angela Chen checked into her office building 20 minutes ago. She's at work, not at any hospital. The blood drained from Makenna's face. Then who? A trap. Yoon's hand went to something under his jacket. They spoofed her number. Wanted you alone at a fake location. How did they? They've been watching. Learning your patterns. Your people. His jaw tightened. Street Mary's Gangnam doesn't have a room 304. It only has 3 floors. Makenna's legs nearly gave out. If she'd gone alone. If Yoon hadn't been there. If she hadn't called back. We're leaving. Now. Yoon's hand closed around her arm, firm but not rough, already moving toward the exit. They made it to the car just as Yoon's phone exploded with alerts. 3 cars had been spotted circling her apartment building. 4 men had entered the grocery store 60 seconds after they'd left. Damien had made his move, and he'd almost succeeded. Kim was waiting when they arrived at his penthouse. Makenna barely made it through the door before her knees buckled. Kim caught her, his hands steady on her arms, his face carved from fury and something that looked like fear. You're safe, he said. Breathe. You're safe. He tried to take me. Her voice came out broken. He pretended to be Angela. He knew exactly what to say to make me. I know. Kim's grip tightened. But you're here. He failed. What happens now? Kim's expression shifted into something cold and final, the face of a man who'd made a decision that couldn't be unmade. Now? His voice dropped to a lethal quiet. Now I make sure Damien understands what happens when someone touches what's mine. Makenna should have been terrified by the possessiveness in those words. Instead, wrapped in the safety of Kim's fury, she just felt protected. For the first time in her life, someone was willing to burn the world down to keep her safe. And God help her. She was ready to let him. If you need to see Kim destroy Damien, subscribe now. Drop a comment, are you Team Protection or Team Run? The warehouse in Yongsan was neutral territory, neither Kim's nor Damien's, a space that belonged to old agreements and older rules. Kim arrived exactly on time, Yoon flanking his left, parked 2 steps behind with a tablet that held everything that mattered. Damien was already there, leaning against a metal table like he owned the room. 2 of his men stood behind him, hands visible, weapons holstered. The rules were clear. Talk first. Violence only if negotiations failed. Kim stopped 10 feet away, close enough to make his point, far enough to maintain control. You wanted a meeting, Kim said. No greeting. No pretense. I wanted a conversation about boundaries. Damien smiled. You've been crossing them. Have I? Kelly Jones was my asset. Then suddenly he disappears. His wife ends up under your protection, and my entire financial network gets audited by authorities who weren't asking questions last month. Damien's smile never wavered. Coincidence? Sounds like poor operational security on your part. Sounds like you're using a woman as a shield. Careful. Kim's voice dropped to something lethal. Choose your next words wisely. Damien pushed off the table, circling slowly. She's a civilian, an outsider. You brought her into this world because of a text message. That's not strategy, Kim. That's weakness. Is that what you think? That's what I know. Damien stopped, hands in his pockets, casual as a knife. And weakness can be exploited. You taught me that. I also taught you to recognize when you're outmaneuvered. Kim nodded to Park. Park stepped forward, tablet extended. The screen showed a series of files, photographs, transaction records, 3 years of carefully compiled evidence. Your operation in Busan, Kim said quietly. The construction contracts you've been skimming. The politicians you've bought. The shipments coming through Incheon that customs has somehow missed. He paused. The bodies in Gangnam that were never reported. Damien's smile tightened. I have names, dates, bank accounts, witnesses who've been very cooperative once they understood the alternative. Kim's expression remained perfectly neutral. I have everything, Damien. I've had it for months. I've been waiting for the right moment to use it. You're bluffing. Park swiped to a video file. Audio played through the warehouse, Damien's voice, crystal clear, discussing payment for a contract killing. Time-stamped, verified, admissible. That's not bluffing, Kim said. That's insurance. The room went very still. Park pulled up another screen. Your Busan operation was shut down this morning. 6 locations, simultaneous raids, your assets frozen, your vendors flipped. Your biggest client just signed with my network instead. Kim's voice stayed level, but the words hit like hammer blows. I did that in 72 hours, Damien. While you were planning grocery store ambushes, I was dismantling 3 years of your infrastructure. So when I say this is over, I mean I've already ended it. You're just catching up. Park turned the tablet around. A news alert glowed on the screen. Major organized crime network disrupted in Busan. Authorities credit anonymous tip. So, this is about her, Damien said softly. You'd burn years of carefully maintained détente over a woman you've known for 3 weeks. No. Kim took one step forward. This is about you forgetting the most important rule. Some things aren't for sale, aren't for leverage, and aren't for touching. You tried to take something that wasn't yours. You sent men to a grocery store. You set a trap using her friend's voice. His voice went cold as winter. You made her a target. And you made her yours first. The difference, Kim said, is that I asked her permission. You tried to take her by force, and that... He let the silence stretch. That was your mistake. Damien's jaw clenched. The smile finally died. If I release this evidence, Kim continued, you'll be arrested within 6 hours. Your assets frozen, your network dismantled, your protection evaporated. You'll spend the next 20 years in a cell, watching your empire collapse from the inside. He paused. Or you can walk away. Right now. Permanently. From me, from her, from Kelly Jones, from all of it. You disappear from Seoul, redirect your interests elsewhere, and we never have this conversation again. That's exile. That's survival. Choose quickly. Damien looked at his men, at Park's tablet, at the cold certainty in Kim's expression. The calculation happened in real-time pride versus preservation, reputation versus reality. She must be incredible in bed, Damien said, venom in every word. Yoon moved, hand going to his weapon, but Kim raised one finger. Stop. She's worth more than your entire operation, Kim said quietly. And the fact that you can't understand that is why you'll always be exactly what you are now. A man who mistakes fear for power. We're done here. He turned and walked away, Park and Yoon falling into step behind him. This isn't over, Damien called out. Kim stopped at the doorway, looking back over his shoulder. Yes, it is. The evidence goes to a lawyer in the morning. If anything happens to me, to my people, or to Makenna Jones, anything at all, it gets released automatically. You're not fighting me anymore, Damien. You're fighting inevitability. And you've already lost. He left Damien standing in the warehouse, surrounded by the wreckage of his miscalculation. 3 days later, intelligence confirmed Damien had relocated operations to Tokyo. The threat was over. But Makenna's war wasn't finished yet. Kelly showed up at her new apartment, the one Kim had arranged. The one with actual security with papers that required her signature. The divorce was being finalized. She met him in the lobby, Yoon watching from a distance that gave them privacy but not vulnerability. Kelly looked smaller than she remembered, tired, diminished. You landed on your feet, he said bitterly, eyeing the expensive building. I survived you, Makenna corrected. There's a difference. Is it true? You're with him? That gangster? Sign the papers, Kelly. He's dangerous, Makenna. He's not some romance novel villain who's secretly good. He's the man who protected me when you sold me out to settle your debts. Her voice was steel. He's the man who saw me, who asked what I needed, who didn't treat me like an obligation or a burden or a problem to manage. So yes, Kelly, I'm with him, and I'm done explaining myself to you. She took the signed papers from his shaking hands. Goodbye, Kelly. She walked away from her marriage without looking back. That night, in Kim's penthouse, wrapped in expensive silence and the city lights below, Makenna finally said the thing that had been building in her chest for weeks. I need you to understand something. Kim looked up from his desk, attention immediate and complete. I'm not your possession, she said carefully. I'm not a thing you won, or claimed, or saved. I chose you. I'm choosing you. But if this is going to work, really work, you need to love me, not own me. The silence stretched long enough that her heart began to race. Then Kim stood, crossed the room, and cupped her face with a gentleness that undid her. I spent my entire life controlling things, he said quietly, taking what I wanted, building empires through force and fear. And then you sent a message to the wrong number, and suddenly nothing I'd built mattered as much as making sure you were safe, happy, seen. His thumb brushed her cheek. You're not my possession, Makenna. You're the first thing I ever wanted that I couldn't take. You're the first thing I had to earn. And if I set boundaries, if I need space sometimes, then I'll respect them. He meant it. She could see it in his eyes, the man who commanded an empire learning to surrender control of his heart. I'll protect you. I'll choose you. But I won't cage you. That's my promise. Makenna kissed him then, pouring 3 weeks of fear and fury and impossible hope into the press of her lips against his. When she pulled back, she was smiling through tears. Then we have a deal, Kim. Just Kim? For now. He smiled, a real one, the kind she'd never seen before, and pulled her close. Outside, Seoul glittered with a million stories. But inside, 2 people who'd found each other through chaos finally found something quieter. Something real. Something that looked dangerously close to love. 2 weeks later, Park entered Kim's office with a tablet and a grim expression. Sir, Damien's in Tokyo, but he's not quiet. Kim looked up from where Makenna sat, curled on his couch, reading, Show me. The screen displayed a message sent to one of Kim's secondary accounts. 3 words. Tokyo is temporary. Kim deleted it without responding. Makenna noticed the shift in his posture. What is it? Nothing that changes today. He crossed to her, pressing a kiss to her temple. Just a reminder that some men don't know when they've lost. Should I be worried? No. His hand cupped her face, thumb brushing her cheek, because I've already won the only thing that matters. But as Makenna returned to her book, Kim's gaze drifted back to the window to the city that held both their future and old threats that refused to die quietly. Some wars ended with surrender. Others just went underground. And Kim would be ready when Damien resurfaced. He always was,